All right. So I've done a couple of streams about stuff, or not streams, but videos to put on my channel so that it starts repopulating. Since, it, because I deleted all the videos on it. But here we are. And I'm getting ready to take a copy of this. I've already got a copy. And I'm getting ready to send it to somebody, and we'll see. We will see. Uh, yeah, that's right. Make bikini armor great again. See, that's a political cause I can totally get behind. Make bikini armor great again, and also make it where women don't have penises, or pretend women don't. Yeah, make it where people got penises don't pretend like they're women. How about that? That'd be nice. You know, like I always say, never take advice from somebody who can't tell whether they're a boy or a girl. Hey, there's Mage's Musing. Haven't seen you in a while. Merry Christmas to you, my good sir. Assuming that you celebrate Christmas tomorrow, I hope you have a wonderful one with the fam and all that. Unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I tend to have multiple Christmases a year because my Protestant relatives come over in December, and so we celebrate with them, which is generally dinner and whatever, exchange a few presents, and then I actually celebrate my Christmas in January, which means my wife buys me a bunch of presents and all that sort of stuff. So and this year is going to be weird because it's like the first year that we haven't had the whole house just full of people. Mainly because off to the mothers in an hour. Nice. My nephew is out to sea doing some stuff, doing his submarine stuff. And one of my nieces lives way up in Indianapolis now. She's moved very far away. And the other niece, she actually came over the other day and we did a little Christmas thing since we weren't going to see her on Christmas. So we gave her presents and everything. And it was actually really cool because a buddy of mine, he gave me my Christmas gifts, and they were all accoutrement for my rifles. So I mean, there was nothing super expensive, but it was all really cool. He got me like a couple of bore sights. Hey, what's up, Jose? He got me some bore sights. He got me a Remington 870 top that you add to the shotgun that has a built Picatinny rail, so you can add optics or whatever. Bought me a bunch of those rubber bands that you put around magazines so that you can tell at a glance what kind of rounds are in the magazines. And that's kind of important for me since my AR fires 300 Magnum and 5.56. So, the last thing I want is to have the wrong upper and grab, because they use the same magazines. So it's like if I've got like the 5.56 upper on, but I load up the 300 Magnum, it's not going to be good. Did you know my wife had a BattleTech YouTube channel? I did not. I didn't know that, Jose, but I will definitely subscribe to it. When I was still with my Ukrainian ex-girlfriend, yeah, I've told you how that goes. We did both mainstream and Orthodox Christmas and New Year's as well, double dipping. Yeah. Easter, which is awesome because uh, you get to go to the feasts. And I've never been to Ukrainian church, but I'm going to assume it's the same as Russian since it's under that diocese. So, you get to go to the feasts and have the pancakes, which they're not really pancakes. They call it the pancake week, but they're crepes, and they wrap them around cheese and mushrooms or sweets, whipped cream or what. That's after the feast leading up to Easter. If you go to a Greek restaurant, it's like pastries, just tons of pastries and stuff. So, but I'm assuming the Orthodox Ukrainians, same thing. Hey, violence solves everything. Merry Christmas. I am, because I am a glutton for punishment, as you guys all know, I have just put all of the metallics, the actual silver metallics, let's see if it'll focus in. There we go. On my Greyjoy Victory Crew. And what Victory Crew is they're the crew of the warship, the Victory, which is the warship that is directly controlled by Victarion Greyjoy. Yes, your boy, even though I've been complaining about having way too many games, etc., I don't know what got into me, but I bought a Greyjoy starter set and a couple of the extra units. So, well, I know what got into me. I was watching a video and these people were talking about how much fun this game was. And I was like, that game does look fun. So, I was like, so what do you need to play? So then I watched a bunch of videos, and it turned out that really all you need to play is a starter set. That's it. And then I went online and like on their webpage, which is Cool Mini or Not, they're like $109 for a starting set. But if you look around on the internet, you'll find them for like $80. So of course, that's what I did because, that way, if my wife is like, you bought more miniatures, I can be like, yeah, but I got a good deal. And she'll be like, well, okay. Because my wife is a value shopper. So I can get away with about anything as long as she thinks I got a really good deal on it. Does it make sense? No, because a better deal would have been not buying any of it. That would have been the better deal, right? I would have saved all the money if I had just been like, I ain't buying any of that. But I got a great discount on it, so I picked it up. Actually, 2 starter sets. I haven't even opened one of them. I picked up my 2 favorite houses. And as you already know, one of my favorite houses is House Greyjoy. And the other favorite house is the Starks. So I've got the starter box for Greyjoy and Stark. Now, I will say this, just because a lot of times I like playing the bad guy. And according to a lot of the whatever, it's not an easy army to play. I am really tempted to pick up House Bolton. One of the units you can buy for House Bolton is Bolton Snow's Girls, they call it. And it's basically a unit of just like freaking dogs. Hey, how you doing, Mobius? Painting and talking smack. But right now I was painting my House Greyjoy miniatures, which these guys are so cool. Like you could use them in any game. They're just cool looking figures, man. I mean, and I haven't even, like I said, started looking in the starter box. I bought the Victory Crew independent because I knew right away that I was going to want to use Victarion as my commander. and he's in the starter deck, right? Or the starter box. So if I'm going to use Victarion as my commander, well, obviously I want Victarion's elite crew. And that's who these guys are. They're Victarion's elite men. And you know. Now in the starter set, you just get a bunch of raiders, some archers, you know, a couple of characters. So it's a good starter set. I mean, you get like 40 or 50 miniatures. So it's actually for the price, considering how nice these miniatures are. It's a good deal, I think. Now, you know, it all depends though. If you're not into A Song of Ice and Fire, if you don't give a shit about it, if the HBO series has made you absolutely hate R.R. Martin, or maybe just waiting for years for him to finish a book has made you just absolutely hate R.R. Martin, then yeah, this ain't going to be a game you want to invest heavily in. But if like you and one of your friends are kind of into this, you and your friend could both save up the $80 to $100, go down to wherever you buy your stuff. I mean, obviously you want to get from your friendly local store, but if you got to order it, you got to order it. And you could each buy the starter set you like, open the box, pull the cellophane off of that box, and play games and just start right there. The starter box comes with enough units and enough different commanders that even if you and your buddy decided you were both going to buy Stark for some reason, one of you could play Karstark Loyalists. The other one could be playing Rob Snow. You could play Eddard Stark. I mean, or Rob Stark, Jon Snow. I mean, stopping by on X today. Yep. Same OGG that stops by on YT. Have a Merry Christmas. You too, homie. And thank you for dropping by on X. You're the first one to ever say something on X. So now I know that X works. And I hope you saw that post I posted that someone posted on Discord. And it was like the bus to heaven. And it was just a bus full of Pomeranians. Like I showed that to my wife and she's like, yeah, that would be pretty much heaven, wouldn't it? Just Pomeranians all over the place. I've also painted up these Dragonborn figures, but as you can see, I've added tails to them. And that makes them Talislanta Sarnids or Saurids. So, yeah, I've converted a lot of characters over. Like this guy right here is a Tabaxi warrior. But in Talislanta, he's a Jaka bounty hunter. You know what I mean? The Jaka are kind of cat people that live in the Nine Kingdoms. So, yeah. Just like right here, you see this, and if you're a D&D player, you think that's an Aarakocra in basic colors before he does detail work, right? But I see it, and I say, no, that's a Griff warrior. They live in the mountains of Talislanta in the north. They're known for being relatively honorable, decent beings, and they protect their forest. And they also scout out and follow the beastmen around from on high just to see what in hell they're up to. You know what I mean? So, and like I said, you know, some of these figures, like this guy, a lot of you are going to be like, yeah, this guy started out as a Goliath barbarian, but now he is a Thrall warrior. You ordered the DCC rulebook, Jose. a periphery state. So you're like one of the bandit kingdoms on the periphery, just outside of the inner sphere. Right? It's yeah, I don't know. I got what's his name? The guy who actually makes Taslanta, Steve Secchi. He sent me an email because like I've been complaining for like a week, about how I ordered the adventurer level Kickstarter, but they just sent me a player's handbook, which I had also ordered, so I can't complain. And he sent me an email CC'd to whoever Geo, Leon, and frickin' Vanessa is or whatever. And it was signed by Steve Secchi, and it was like, why has this guy not got his stuff yet? And then CC'd to me, but directed at them. So I'm all like, all right, some movement happening, I mean, I can't complain. I finally did get my Blood and Plunder box set. But the problem is my wife, I showed her this box set, which is, I've showed it off. It's huge. It's huge, right? I was going to give it as a present to my nephew, but there's no way he could ever take it on the submarine with him. Like, he doesn't have that much personal space. He could never store it. And then each box set comes with 2 sloops. And once you build a sloop, I mean, it becomes a cubic foot worth of stuff you got to store someplace, right? Like, you guys have seen it, but I'll show it off again. I need to tie the ropes on that back cell. But I mean, storing this could be an issue when you're on a submarine, and literally, even as an officer, they give him like, I don't know. A footlocker, basically. Yeah, basically a footlocker with a couple square feet worth of driving to go see the family. Nice. See, my family drove to see me this year. Unfortunately, all of our plans imploded when my brother had to go to the hospital and get some stents put in. But then he got out and they hung out a couple extra days so that he and I could pal around. And it turns out he's decided he's going to come back February. So awesome. Awesome. And that'll be great. And my Madre might come back February too. She would have stayed down longer, I think, but my pops has some eye surgery he's got to get done because, when you get to be 70, 80 years old, that's just the kind of shit that happens, right? And so she just did not want to leave him home during this, when he's getting ready to get eye surgery and all kinds of stuff done. So, yeah. And I don't blame her. I don't blame her at all. I mean, she loves her hubby, and that's good. She wants to be with him through this difficult time. That's really good. But let's see. DCC book, likely Costa Rica and Florida are as distant as California and Florida, but Costa Rica works like a forsaken. It is weird. It's like shipping something to Canada. You can literally live in Buffalo, New York, and they still act like Canada's on another planet if you want to ship anything. It's like, I don't know if it's the Canadian or the American side that makes it such a pain in the ass, but Ultra American, all your external family lives in Kansas City, but which one? The good one or the not good one? And I'll let you decide which one I'm talking about. I will say this: my wife has been to Kansas City a few times for business. She's had to go up there a couple times for business to train people or whatever.
What are you saying about me?
I was telling the guys in chat that you've been to Kansas City a few times. But now I will say this. I have been a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs since 1988. 1988. Yep. And even though it's in the closet now, instead of hanging up over there where it was, because my wife put it in the closet, I have a NFL authentic Christian Okoye game jersey, number 35, the Nigerian Nightmare, which unfortunately he only played for like 5 years, but this is a big 5 years, you know, like when they had Al Snow and freaking Steve DeBerg and what was his name? That guy he sacked everyone, and then all of a sudden he got in a car wreck, and that was the end of that. Derek Thomas. Yeah, so I kind of got a little upset when all of a sudden, you know, all the Swifties started being like, we like the Chiefs. And I'm like, you guys don't even know what football is. You know, shut up. Just because the freaking your idol is freaking dating somebody on the Chiefs. What's up, Leth? How you doing, bro?
Hey.
Hey.
Who cares? Because football is gay.
No, it's not.
That's what the NFL said.
Well, I don't listen to the NFL. And you shouldn't either. The NFL, they tell stories. But now Hungar, his favorite team is Tampa Bay. And I can attest that he liked Tampa Bay even when they wore that goofy yellow and white uniform with the Buccaneer on it, with the knife in his freaking hat and the big hat with the feather. I mean, Hungar liked Tampa Bay back when they were worse than Detroit.
Heck, I'm surprised they still allow a team called Chiefs.
Oh, no. The Chiefs are going to stay here forever.
No, but, you know, cultural appropriation, all that stuff.
You know what? I don't think that'll be an issue, though, with the Chiefs, because a lot of native tribes are totally okay with it. It's like, dude, not only do I think the Chiefs are going to be okay, but they're talking about changing the Washington, D.C. Capitol guys or whatever back to the Washington Redskins. Because apparently a bunch of Native American guys,
was probably like
the news right, and again, there's no telling, but a lot of Native American guys got together and they're like, we're pretty pissed off.
Upper's going mad.
Somebody was knocking at my door, but I don't expect it. Oh, hey. It's one of the people who play the game. More than 400 million native Spanish speakers between Latin America and Spain. And Spain only has 40 million. Right? You would think that, well, hold on, though. I do know that from talking to Brazilian players that there are a lot of Brazilian role players. Apparently, role-playing games are like huge in Brazil, but
yeah,
they're not the ones we think they are.
No, I mean, last time I checked, I think it was like Vampire was a very big one there.
Vampire, Rollmaster, freaking RuneScape or RuneQuest. It's like a lot of those 80s RPGs that kind of came and went in America or got buried by D&D are still being played hardcore in Brazil.
I think it's similar for Japan. They have some really interesting tastes there.
Well, in Japan, the number one role playing game for like ever is Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, yeah, fair.
Which, you know, Japan, tentacles, right? I mean, if no one else wanted to say it, I was going to say it. You know, they're like, oh, look, a game where we can be violated by tentacles. Of course we love it. And in Japan, the people who are the ones that play the game the most are women.
Oh, man.
So it's like, okay. All right. These Japanese women are wanting to experience actual tentacle porn or something. But they're weird people anyway. I know this based on, you know.
Tentacle porn only came about because of censorship. But they gained popularity, it seems.
They have a history. Let's just say that. They got a history. So I need that paint. But the next thing I need is my contrast snakebite gray. Or the speed paint. That's effectively the same. The leather speed paint.
Besides, Japan really was interested in like 80s Americana too. What are their anime?
They do what they want to do. You know, they don't care. They're just like, we're gonna do whatever we want. And
oh man, some of the times you get some funny things from that though. Like the weirdest dub for a black guy ever.
Are you talking about Pokemon?
No.
Boo?
No.
Because I remember when people were mad about Boo. And it was like,
I mean,
like Boo's an alien. So I don't know if he counts.
I don't know about Boo, but I remember people not liking like Mr. Popo from Dragon Ball, saying he was a racist stereotype.
But wasn't Mr. Popo also an alien?
I don't know, actually. They never really say what he actually is.
You're talking about the big guy that was dressed up like kind of like a genie, but he was really black.
Yes. But yeah, they never really say that he is an alien. They just kind of, he just kind of appears and that's it. They don't really mention where he's from.
I know the one guy in, I think it's Dragon Ball Z, that's like one of the girls' dad. In Japan, in America, they renamed him to something, but
he was named Mr. Satan in the
Mr. Satan
in the Japanese.
It's like, because what do they know about anything? They're Buddhists.
Yeah.
So to them, it's like,
that's just another name.
Yeah, to them, it's just like, you know, the way we would act about, you know, some ancient deity from some culture that, you know, they're the same way. They're like, it's Mr. Satan.
But no, later on, when you're not on here, or even in here, you could possibly just bring up worst like black person dub on YouTube. It is hilarious.
Well, I remember when somebody did a meme, and it was from CB40, but it was a black character from an anime, and he was just singing "I'm Black, Y'all" like over and over again.
That would have been funny.
I'm bliggly, biggly, bliggly, bliggly black, and I'm back because I'm black. And it was just like, wait, what?
Or how about this? The time that Japan made an anime about a cop in New York and his Japanese buddy that goes with him now. Like the whole premise was the Japanese cop came here, worked with the LAPD or something like that, or not LA. I mean NYPD. And it's just their thoughts on how American cops are is hilarious.
My thoughts on how American cops are is hilarious.
Oh, fair. It's just that they go way over the top insane stuff. I mean, it's like just insanity. I
You
mean,
were
what
on
are
a
they?
roll today, man. Calm down.
Sorry.
Laughing at your own jokes.
One of the cops made a jockstrap out of grenades.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good idea.
No.
A jock strap out of hand grenades. That seems
Like a terrible
ill-advised.
idea.
Yeah, ill-advised would be the word I would use. But there's no way this ends well, but okay. Now, I just literally grabbed the leather color out of the thing and put it on the desk. And now I'm having a hard time finding it because I'm a goofball. I mean, this is leather, but it's not the leather I want. I want the light leather. You know what I mean?
Ah, yeah.
This is German camo orange brown, which would work, but I know I have the leather paint though. I looked right at it.
Ooh, Shadowrun. That is basically cyberpunk with magic.
Off Grid's got to run. He's got to get ready for the Christmas Eve Mass. You have a great one, bro.
Again, Shadowrun, I'd say, is just basically.
What is Shadowrun about? Yeah, Shadowrun is kind of like D&D in 2070 or 2053, depending. And there's a lot of like social commentary. So if you're like easily offended by, commentary on racism and stuff like that, then Shadowrun is maybe not the game for you. Now, how they handle it is about as stupid as a brick, but they do put it in there. And it never bothered me, but the only time it bothered me was, I think it's Shadowrun 6th edition, when they try to claim that a group of human supremacists like gang grape a troll female. And it's like, why would they do that?
Yeah, if it.
I mean, a
That
troll
doesn't
is like 9 feet tall and really, really ugly and covered with just random calcium, horny ridges and, bony, not horny, bony. It's like, why? That would be like saying some human supremacists broke into a zoo to have sex with a gorilla. It just makes no sense, right?
Yeah.
Now, elves might be in trouble because they're beautiful. But of course, in Shadowrun, elves get treated really good because they're beautiful. And pretty privilege is a thing. So, yeah, since the elves are beautiful, they get treated the best. And since trolls and orcs are ugly, they get treated the worst. And then dwarves, they just kind of hang out and do their own shit, mind their own business.
Dwarves are just obviously the best race ever.
Right. Like, you never really hear about the dwarves getting involved with shit. They're just kind of out there doing their own thing,
Again, I would say it's a lot like having cyberpunk, but with magic.
That's exactly what it is. It's D&D, but with cyberpunk. Because now the reasoning behind it, and I can tell you, as somebody who has played a lot of Shadowrun, one, I've never really liked the Shadowrun dice pool system. It's too complicated. I really wish they would simplify it. And unfortunately, the newest edition did not help. So when I ran Shadowrun last year, I used 2nd edition. What am I drinking? This is ice water, but it's in a special cup that my players got to me that says Dungeon Master Chip, because Chip is my nickname. Dwarves, a lot of times, are the guys that are working in the gigantic buildings or the underground areas maintaining infrastructure. So dwarves are still, they're still dwarves. I mean, they're still working and making shit. And you might run into dwarves that are hardcore into like arms manufacturing. You know, I mean, so that's the thing. It's like, yes, it's cyberpunk. It uses a different system, but at the end of the day, the stereotypes are still there. Like trolls are really big and really strong, and for the most part, dumb as a brick, and they can take a ton of damage. Orcs, basically kind of the same, but less. And then dwarves, they like to work on shit and stay busy, and pretty much the corporations leave them alone because the dwarves are always fixing shit. And then elves are beautiful, so everyone loves them. And then humans. And at that point, they don't make any sort of differentiation between like ethnicity at all. Human equals human. No one gives a shit. You know what I mean? But on top of that, tons of other creatures have appeared too. So dragons are a thing. Yeah, gnomes are a subtype of dwarf. Wendigo are Sasquatch that have gotten that disease. Kind of like how humans can get the disease and become ghouls. Basically, yeah, if you really want, okay, the easiest way to say is when the Aztec calendar flipped over to the fifth world or whatever, magic came back. And when magic came back, it reasserted itself in the genes of humanity and animals. And then some people would have a baby, and instead of it being a little human baby, well, if they were very lucky and very rare, it would be an elf. But if they weren't quite so lucky, it'd be an orc. And if they were really not lucky, it'd be a troll. And this, of course, caused the whole world to basically explode. For lack of a better term, the whole world just basically lost its shit. And then, since magic came back, the Native Americans on their plantations were like, hey, since magic is back, what if we did the ghost dance again and like tried to make all the volcanoes in North America explode? And they did that. And guess what? It happened. So then the natives told America, you're going to give us all of this land back, or else we're just going to keep exploding volcanoes until there's nothing left. There was a little bit of a war, but then the United States said fine and gave the natives everything on the other side of Mississippi. Texas become an independent country. America split right down the middle and become the Confederacy and the Union. And then the Union joined with what was left of Canada. Hey, we've already got people making comments about that. So, right? And so the United States become UCAS, United Canadian American States. And, and then a bunch of people fought a bunch of wars, and eventually people got sick of fighting wars and everything calmed down. So now the orcs and trolls, they do have kind of orcs, trolls, dwarves, they do have kind of a reason to be pissed off, because in the early days, the human governments basically gathered all the metahumans up. And in Seattle, they put them all in like warehouses down by the riverfront or the ocean. And then they supposedly, no one knows what happened, but the warehouses caught on fire. And the orcs journeyed into the tunnels, but they closed the tunnels up behind them so that no one else could escape. And that's why a lot of the metahumans kind of hate orcs. So there is that. There is that. But anyway, that's basically all you need to know. It's a good game. I play first or second edition. Second edition is actually the better version because it straightens out like weapons and makes it a lot easier to deal with. But some people swear by third edition, which I've played, and third edition's not bad either. The thing I don't like about some of the later editions is they start like in third or fourth edition, they add like technomancers, which are mages that can do all the tech stuff. And I don't like that. Right. Well, in Shadowrun, it worked. Like they blew up half of California, and then all the big mountains detonated, including the one by Denver, and everything went to hell. But the Native Americans, their magic is based on spirits. So Native American shamans would do their rituals to summon spirits and then make deals with the spirits. And then the spirits of the earth and the sky and whatever would do different things for them, right? Whereas arcane magic, which is mostly studied by humans and, you know, some other groups, that's more like mathematics. You know, you basically just you study the formula to do the things, and then the things happen. No spirits necessary. Even though with arcane magic you can summon elementals to work for you. So yeah, I mean the lore is deep and really good. And back in the day, I don't know if you can still get them, but back in the day, they used to have like so many novels. It was like how BattleTech used to have like 100 models or novels. Um, Shadowrun had tons of novels like Never Trust a Dragon, Never Trust an Elf, you know, all this and that. And they were all, you know, set in the Shadowrun world. And so it added like, if you were a Shadowrun player or DM, it just added so much to the game because, you know, you could read about things, you know, lore wise and be like, oh, okay, that makes sense, you know. Like the worst place to be born metahuman, unless you're an elf, is Japan. The Japanese are absolutely 100% super racist versus any metahuman that's not an elf. They just don't like them at all. Dwarves can kind of scrape by, but if you're an orc or something in Japan, you will be low status and treated like, you know, garbage basically forever because they just don't like you. Just don't like you. And you know, yeah, Chicago's a wasteland overran by freaking insect spirits, and Europe is basically screwed. Germany is an anarchist free state. I mean, yeah, second edition Shadowrun is probably the best. And there was something about Shadowrun that made it where you couldn't go past a certain altitude into space. It's like if you tried to go past like orbit, it'd kill you or something. There was some kind of weird thing with that too. So yeah. But overall, good game and still played a lot more than you would think. And Max Lau, he loves Earth Dawn. Earth Dawn is basically Shadowrun, but in the far, far distant past. Like Earth runs during the first or second age, and Shao runs during the fifth age. And it's all based on like the Mayan or Aztec calendar, and and then the main thing about Shadowrun that makes it work is that governments are very weak, but corporations are very strong. So the UCAS government, I mean, I'm not saying you want to pick a fight with them and have them send a bunch of, soldiers to kill you. But at the same time, you're really not going to be dealing with them that much. You're a lot more likely to have to deal with Renraku or Ares Arms Industrial, whatever, or as technology. What's up, RPG Dad? How you doing? Gypsy themed elf. A face. Nice. Yeah, the last time I played Shadowrun, I played a shaman and my totem was sun. I was like into that. Oh, nice. Yeah, you're kind of like an A team, except you're not an A team. You're more like a group of criminals that corporations know they can hire to do things, and you will keep your mouth shut. And if you don't, they will have you killed. That's kind of what Shadowrun is. That's not even kinda. That's what Shadowrun is. It's like you will meet a Mr. Johnson in a club somewhere in a shitty part of town. He'll tell you what the job is, whether it's kidnapping a scientist from another corporate headquarters or whatever it is. And then he'll give you the money and you'll be like, cool. And then you'll go do the job. And if you do the job good, then, everything's awesome. And if you do the job crappy, then now you have an enemy for life who's going to try to do his best to make sure you die horribly. Prime, I like second edition because I do not like physical adepts. I do not like techno mages. I just don't like a lot of those things. So for me, second edition was basically perfect. In Shadowrun, you are kind of a criminal, but there's a lot more to it than that. Because you live in a dystopian future where the corporations basically stomp on the little people. So while what you do might be outside of the law, it's outside of the law in the same way that Robin Hood might be considered outside of the law. You know what I mean? Think of it like that. But no, it's not like you're running. Well, you could run around being a serial killer. That is a thing you could do, but
it's like, why would you?
The rest of the group would be looking at you a little weird if that was your thing, Unless you're a mage who's also a member of Aztechnology, in which case, you know, because Aztechnology is known for human sacrifices. You know, that's kind of their thing on the top of their giant corporate building in Seattle. Yeah, they've probably done a few human sacrifices up there. So, you know, but they're pretty much the bad guys of the game. Uh, the good guy corporations, if you can call them that, would be like Ares Arms or Croup, you know. But a lot of times you will get jobs that are straight up not legal. Like it'll be like, okay, here's the deal. We need you to break into this secure facility um, and kidnap this scientist because we want him to work for us. And in return, we will pay you X amount of Nuyen, which because the world currency is basically the Nuyen. Yeah, you got fake SIM cards and everything. You live off the grid. You live like in the worst parts of the city where the cops never go. And, you know, you just try to survive. And if the campaign is played right, 99% of the time you won't. Because statistically, it is only a matter of time before you piss one of the big corporations off. And when that happens, it's not going to end well for you. Because, like, if you piss Rinraku off bad enough, then they'll start sending the Red Samurai to get you, which is Rinraku's special forces, you know, assholes. And you know, they all wear like power armor, but it's made to look like samurai armor. They use the highest tech weapons in the game, and they are extremely good at their job. So yeah, if you piss Rinraku off enough, you're gonna have to deal with those boys. If you piss Aztechnology off enough, they might summon up and send a feathered serpent to get your ass. Or something worse. Because, I mean, you know, Ares, I don't think you got much to worry about, except that Ares Technology, since they make a lot of the best weapons in the game, they tend to give these weapons as like they tend to sponsor mercenary units and give them weapons to test out in the various wars that are going on around the world. So I guess if you were to piss Ares off enough, then you would end up, you know, having to deal with one of these special operator units that would be showing up to figure out what's up. And then you don't have to worry about how the Native Americans feel because they don't want you in their area anyway. Like in all of the Northwest, there's like one area called the Council Island where non-Native Americans can go. Yeah, tricked into stealing a dragon egg. That's a smart. I mean, not saying that the guy was dumb, but you know, people get tricked. And all of this that I'm talking about, guys, is before you start talking about dealings you may or may not have with the mafia. Because they're there, you know, they're still kicking. Or the Yakuza or the Tongs. You know, like all of these things still exist, except now they're magically powered. Yeah, South America is a mess. There's like a big war going on down there, especially in the Yucatan. And the leader of the rebels in the Yucatan is a feathered serpent. I forget his name, but you know. And then Germany is basically ruled over by, or Terra Tangier is ruled over by a dragon. And then Dunkelsen, the dragon, was president of the United States for a little bit before he got assassinated. Yeah, why someone has never took Shadowrun and like just converted the shit out of it. You know what I mean? Like keep everything basically the same, but convert it so that it's, you know, it's still the same setting and everything, but it uses like a different, more simple rule system. Jose, DCC is a lot of fun. DCC is a lot of fun. I ran DCC for a while. It's a lot of fun. And a lot of bad things can happen. Especially if you're playing a wizard or a cleric. But not just that. But yeah. Because if you're playing a wizard or a cleric and you roll a 1 on your spellcasting roll, oh, goodness gracious. Like your character can actually mutate. If you're a cleric and you roll bad on your casting roll, it means that you've actively managed somehow to piss your god off. And until you make it up to that god, it's not going, the god will not give you any spells anymore.
Well, that's fun.
Yep. But as a wizard, you don't got to worry about that. You just gain random mutations until eventually you're so mutated that it's like, yeah, you can no longer be in the game because it's like, dude, you have snail eyes and, you know, 4 legs, and everywhere you go, it smells like brimstone or what have you, you know? Yeah. The wizard in my group, he screwed up his roll and it ended up, he lucked out. This is lucking out for DCC. It made it where one of his legs was like 6 inches longer than the other one. So he had to get platform shoes. Otherwise, you know, he walked really weird. Yep, MechWarrior Destiny uses 2 dice 6. So similar to like Traveler. And very, very easy to learn. It's like, to quote Ryan George, so easy, barely an inconvenience, you know? And Baltec,
Really easy, barely an inconvenience.
exactly. It's like in Baltec, you have a target number, and that can be determined by whatever, depending on what exactly you're doing. But let's say you're firing a weapon from your mech at another mech at long range. The base target number then is 8. And then if you were moving, you would add to the target number. If your opponent was moving, you'd add to the target number. If there were trees between you and the opponent, you'd add to the target number. So then you could end up with a target number of 11, right? And then you roll 2 dice 6 and hope to beat an 11, which doesn't happen as much as you would like. But one thing I will tell anyone who is interested in playing Battletech competitively, there are some mechs out there, right, that have nothing but like crap loads of laser weapons.
Oh, my nose.
And you've got enough heat sinks that you can fire those laser weapons pretty consistently, right? So what that means is anytime you have the opportunity to fire at an enemy mech, even if the target number is 11 or 12, you do it anyway, because there's no reason not to. You see what I mean? Because firing a laser weapon doesn't cost you any ammo. And as long as you don't go over your heat, you are good as gold. So yeah, energy weapons, that's what you do with them. That is the weapon that, you know, whereas like if you're using, let's say maybe your character's got a mech with a lot of autocannons on it, you don't fire those unless you're pretty sure you're going to get a hit. You know what I mean? Because you're dealing with ammo and all that. So you're dealing with a finite resource, let's say. But with las weapons, nope. Just don't overheat and you'll be fine. That's really all there is to it. Don't overheat, you're fine. So yeah, every spell in DCC, you roll your die and add your intelligence and I think level, and then you compare it to a chart, and that chart will tell you how the spell worked. So like, let's say you cast magic missile and you roll really, really good. You might cast one magic missile, but that one magic missile might do 4 die 12 damage. And if I remember correctly, you can always take a lesser result. So let's say if you want to cast the multiple magic missiles, you can always do that. Like with a sleep spell, if you roll high enough on the sleep spell, your opponent doesn't even get saved. You just knock them out. And again, it can, you know, tell you that it targets one guy, it targets everybody within a certain range, under a certain amount of hit die, etc. So you kind of get a choice in how your magic works. But like I said, every time you go to cast a spell, you got to roll the die 20 to cast the spell. And that means that there's a 1 in 20 chance every time you cast the spell that something really bad is going to happen. And while, like I said, a lot of the times it can be just a mutation, sometimes if you roll really, really terrible on the critical chart, it can be stuff like the spell targets one of your buddies instead of whoever you were targeting on. Or if it's an AoE spell, it can say the spell goes off as normal but centered on you. So if you're casting a fireball and you crit F it up, then the fireball can detonate, but you are the center of the fireballs.
Congratulations, you blew yourself up.
Yeah. Congratulations. And hopefully a lot of your friends aren't standing off super close to you because they just got blown up too. The funnel, it can be a lot of fun, especially if you play the something of the undersea. I've got it, but I don't remember it. It's been a long time. That was a good adventure. And plus it's funny because like if you roll up 4 characters and you do it, the way they tell you, you've got a chance of having a really good character. So you spend most of the funnel adventure sending your shitty characters out to do stuff while trying to save your good character and to make sure it doesn't die because that's the one you want to play. So, I mean, in a way, it's kind of funny, because you're like, oh my God, I don't want the pastry chef to die because, he's the one with the best attributes or something. And then, yeah, at the end of the adventure, the 0 level characters, one of them turns 1st level, and then you can pick a class. And then he has hit points and stuff. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Hey, Hunger. I sent you a link on your whatever, but apparently you were like, F this guy. That's just sitting over there playing some weeaboo game.
It's Advance Wars, not Weeaboo.
Dance Wars.
Advance Wars.
Oh, I was gonna say. I was like, are you playing a game where you dance?
No, it's a game about war, but it's fun.
It's advanced though.
Yeah, it's called that because it was on the Game Boy Advance originally.
Ah, interesting. I play a game where you do have to dance.
Dance Dance Revolution.
Sid Meier's Pirates.
Ah,
Like whenever you go into a friendly port, if you want to try to seduce the governor's daughter, a lot of times you have to go to the ball and dance with her. And it's basically like you got to go left, you got to go right, you got to go up and down. And spending time with your wife, I guarantee you your wife would be totally cool with you hanging out with me for a while. Hell, she'd probably appreciate it. She's probably tired of your ass by now. I wish you'd go do something with your life. Instead of hanging out in Tennessee. So, Hungar, I got questions to ask you. I just don't know if I want to ask you those questions because you're not in chat. So it's like, damn it. You know that your wife is also invited to chat if she wants. You don't have to show any pictures or anything like that. You can just, unless by hanging out, you mean you two are like being lewd and crude, and nobody needs to see that. Ain't nobody needs to see any of that. You can keep that to yourself. She's only here for 2 days, so I'm only online for another, I don't know, hour or so. Tell her, hey, I'm going to log on and talk to my brother a little bit. He's got all kinds of questions he needs to ask me. Plus, he totally got ripped off this visit because I spent most of the time in the hospital and the rest of the time laying down, recovering from being in the hospital. So all of his dreams of playing pirate games and everything like that went out the window. And the Battletech figure stayed on the shelf. Sadly on the shelf. Why you gonna make me guilt you? You know I was raised Jewish, so I'm really good at it. Like, don't make me guilt you. You know, I'll be like, go ahead, hang out with your wife. I'll just sit here all alone in the dark by myself, eating unsalted matzahs. It's okay, because nobody loves me. You know, just as long as you have a good time.
What do you want?
I want to talk to you.
I know, that's why I logged on while I'm preparing the sauce for dinner.
Is that code for something?
No, I'm making dinner. I always cook for her when she's home.
Are you making her Korean food?
Japanese.
Are you making her miso or
Ginger pork.
ginger pork? You know whose favorite dish ginger pork is?
Who's that?
The one big boobied Korean chick in that game.
Oh, well, ginger pork is delicious, and so are big booby Korean chicks.
Yes.
Yep. There is a part of the game where she asks what you want to eat for dinner, and you got a choice between that bop whatever and various Korean foods, and one of them is ginger pork. And that's the correct answer, guys. If you're trying to hook up with the big boobied one, whose name is like Grand Dong,
I got a grand dong for her.
which is a very unfortunate name, I have to say. Like to go through your whole life named Grand Dong.
If you're a dude, that's a great name.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a guy, that is a pretty good name. So, question, my brother.
What's up?
What is your favorite house in Game of Thrones?
I really like the love story of the Lannisters.
You're such a fucking asshole. Why are you such an asshole?
Because that was funny.
It was kind of unexpected. I didn't expect you to go right to the incest.
I really don't know, because I really did not. The amount of times I watched Game of Thrones, you were there.
Right.
I never got into Game of Thrones
Right.
because it's freaking weird. My issue with Game of Thrones is the same issue that Butters has with Game of Thrones.
Floppy wieners everywhere.
Floppy wieners everywhere.
Yeah, the thing though is that's only in the TV show. That was not in the books.
Yeah, well, I heard the books were stupid too.
I only read the first one, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, if they were any good, you would have read the other ones.
That is a fact. If they were any good, I would have read the other ones, but I didn't because I was like, whatever.
Oh, yeah, this shit kind of sucks.
No, the first one's cool and all. It was just like it didn't like grab me by the nuts and make me want to keep watching. It was just kind of like, all right.
Okay, you know how much I love Tolkien?
Yeah.
But I heard reading Game of Thrones books is like reading the Silmarillion.
No.
Just not as captivating.
Just not as captivating. No, actually, the first one that I read was very captivating. A lot of shit was going down, right? It was actually really cool. But the problem is I didn't read the rest of them, so I don't know. And he still hasn't come out with the last one yet anyway. So
he never is.
And HBO totally screwed it all up and tried to turn it into softcore porn, which You know, I have a rule, like if I can't watch a science fiction show with my mom, I ain't watching it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Game of Thrones was that show where you couldn't watch that with your mom. Well, I guess you could if you're a Lannister, but
That was
yeah, but that ain't how I roll. So it was just like, just so filthy. It was just filthy. It was dirty. It was just like, okay, instead of focusing on all of the whoremongering and shit, how about you focus on, you know, the war that's going on? That would be nice. You know, there's a whole war going on. You could be paying attention to that. That would be cool. No, no, no. F the war that's going on. No one gives a shit. Like, F every interesting thing about the show. No one gives a shit. What we're going to do is we're just going to show you floppy wieners until you get so sick and tired of it that you stop watching the show. And that is what they did. That's exactly what they did. Now that I've ranted against it, though, I still want you to think about it and try and give me a answer.
the Sand Snake Chicks.
Okay, so that would be House Martell.
The ones that had like Oberon or whatever his name was.
Yeah, that's House Martell. Cool. Cool. Well, that means next time I have any money I can spend, I need to buy a Martell starter set.
You do not have to spend a bunch of money on a game.
It's not that much.
Especially since you're trying to get rid of games right now.
Yeah, but I need Martell so that Hungar can play when he visits.
Ask the monster if she wants to play.
I asked her favorite house, as far as I can tell, is Highgarden. And from what I understand, Highgarden is part of Baratheon. So basically, she wants to play the Baratheons.
I want to play Khaleesi.
You can.
I don't.
They even sell a bonus module, a bonus miniature pack that has the dragons in it.
Nice.
It's got the Khaleesi and all three of the dragons. But every army plays like totally different because of the just the way they do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you want to play an army with a lot of knights, you play Lannister or Baratheon. If you want to play a horde army, then you play, you know, the Khaleesi and all that shit. If you want to have giants in your army and giant woolly mammoths and shit, you play the free folk. If you want to play Rob Snow for some stupid reason, then you can play the Black Watch. You know, or you can be cool like me and play House Greyjoy.
You're playing Greyjoy, aren't you?
I am playing Greyjoy. Because you know the saying, right? We do not sow. And also, that which is dead can never die. Because there's a type of troops that the Greyjoy can take called the Silent Men.
Yeah.
And they've been drowned. And after they died, they were basically, they had their chests pumped on and shit. And those that came back they had their tongues removed and they become the silent men.
Yeah, that's not strange at all.
Well, the thing with the Greyjoys is they kind of worship Cthulhu.
Yeah, I had their magic card deck back.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Like, because in Game of Thrones, because R.R. Martin's about as original as, you know, I can't think of something witty to say, but he's very unoriginal. Like all of the H.P. Lovecraft shit exists in Game of Thrones. Not waiting for the effed up way your favorite character was going to die. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone who was watching Game of Thrones and thinking, boy, I sure like that Theon Greyjoy. You know.
Yeah, they had a rude awakening.
It's like, I got some bad news for you guys already. You need to just stop. Just turn that shit off and go find some other hobby because you are not going to like what happens to Theon.
Poor Theon.
Yep. When he becomes Reek. Hey, you know what other house is available in a starter set?
What's that?
Bolton. The House of the Flayed Man.
Oh.
So, like, not only can you play the guy who did all the horrible stuff to Theon, but the starter set comes with Theon, but he's Reek. It's after he's already been completely mutilated and everything.
Yeah.
And
Okay. I gotta go. We'll see you.
catch ya. And one of the units you can pick for it is called Bolton's Girls, and it's his dogs. The ones that he kept starved and was always like feeding people to.
The ones he ate. The ones that ate him.
Yeah, the ones that ended up eating him in the movie. I don't know if that's how it went down in the show.
Hey, baby.
But so yeah, you can do that. But I don't know. That would be like actively being like, I think I'm just going to play a bastard. Like in every way, because I mean, you know, Ramsay Snow is the bastard of Reese Bolton. And he's also a crazy person. And the way their army works is that it basically concentrates on terrifying whoever you're fighting against. Like everything they do spreads panic through the enemy.
Well, he was a crazy bastard.
So yeah, that's kind of their deal. It's like they're going to put panic tokens on all the units, and then you're going to have to make rolls to see if your units get panicked. And of course, if they do get panicked, then they're a lot easier to kill. Also, House Bolton has pretty much some of the best cavalry in the game. They're just really expensive. If you're playing like a medium game at 40 points, this one cavalry unit costs 10 points. So that's, you know, a quarter of your army right there.
That's insanity.
Hey, Longshot, Merry Christmas to you.
Well, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Yeah. But yeah, right now I am painting the crew of the Iron Victory, which is Victarion Greyjoy's ship. So, and it's cool because the game comes with a card for each unit. That tells you everything you need to know about it, but also a big picture on the back.
Nice.
So you can like see, okay, these guys need to have dark gray pants and a sea green cloak. So makes it easy to paint. So I need to find my Leviathan purple, not Slyish purple. Why do I got so much purple? What was I doing? What's going on with all that? No, I don't need non-oil shade. I thought I had the color I needed, like graveyard gray. I think that's what I need. And then I need a blue-green to paint there. I wonder if this Caribbean turquoise might work. Maybe if I threw a little bit more green in it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Greened it up a little bit. But, well, I mean, one thing about the Martells is, yes, you get Oberon. He's a badass. You get the Sand Sisters. They're all cool. Yeah. I guess that's all I had to say. I mean, you get some pretty cool characters. You get the one guy that's crippled in the chair, but the thing is, in this game, there's two kinds of units you got to worry about, right? There's combat units and non-combat units, right? So it's alternating turn, as all good games should be, but for some reason Games Workshop can't wrap their head around the idea. You can spend your turn to put one of your non-combat units on the political thing, the political chart. And depending on what you put her on or him, it can give you special abilities that affect the battle.
Nice.
Like if you're playing Lannister and you send Cersei to the court, and you choose wealth beyond measure or whatever, then you get to draw 2 more tactical cards to have in your hand. And tactical cards are played to affect the battle. And depending who your actual battle commander is, it affects the cards in your deck. So, you know, some people operate differently. As a matter of fact, one thing they say, and I need to look at it, see this. This is Greyjoy's Heroes Part 1. And what I need to look at is I was listening to a guy talking about these guys, and he was saying, you got to be really careful if you think about adding Aegon Greyjoy into your army. Because apparently there's something about Aegon that can just F you up.
You know what? He a bit of an asshole.
Okay, so this is German. This is Spanish. This is French. So here's English.
The craziest thing happened to me today at the grocery store.
Okay.
I was going up. I was in line to pay. I get up to pay, and this woman and her kids and husband came up and asked to pay for my groceries.
Are you getting ready to tell some kind of joke?
No, I'm straight serious. I mean, I only had a few things. I had like $30 worth of shit. But still, I thought it was like really nice. That shit.
Quarrel was never in the TV show, but she's known as Asha's champion. You can add her to a unit that Asha's in, and before any combat dice are rolled, she gets to roll a dice 6, and if she rolls a 5 or higher, on a 3+, you destroy the attachment. So if the enemy unit has a commander in it, Quarrel can just kill it before combat starts.
Nice.
But you can only take her in a unit that Asha is in. Otherwise, you can't take her. Newt the Barber. Here is Euron Greyjoy, Lord Reaper of Pike. What is his thing? He sows discord. So at the start of any turn, target one enemy in long range, and they suffer one morale test with -1 to their roll for each of their destroyed ranks. On a failure, they lose all abilities until the end of the turn. Enemies engaging with a unit led by Euron get -1 to morale test rolls and +1 wound from failing panic tests. Okay. That doesn't seem bad. He gets cunning ploy, devious methods, and mind games. That's okay. Let's see. Balin Greyjoy, the Kraken King. Oh, that's good. Fueled by slaughter. After this unit completes a melee attack, if the defender suffered any wounds, this unit restores 1 wound plus an additional wound for each of the defender's destroyed ranks. So, okay, here's another Euron Greyjoy because there's multiples. All right, so anytime the unit he's in suffers a wound, you can target an enemy unit within long range and give them a condition token, like vulnerable or panicked or whatever.
Yeah.
And if the unit has pillage, it deploys with 2 pillage tokens. But when it performs an action before resolving that action, it suffers a wound. Ah, okay, so that's what they're saying. But yeah, then you've got like guys that don't have any combat attributes. They just kind of, like right here, this is a non-combat character. And so Windermere, Master of House Greyjoy, and he is a Raven Tender. He begins the game with an order token, and at the beginning of a turn, you can choose to spend a token to draw a tactics card, restore 2 wounds to a friendly combat unit, or have 1 friendly combat unit perform a 3-inch shift. And whenever he claims a zone on the political board, you can replace whatever that zone says with place 1 order token on Windermere.
Cool.
Well, that is kind of cool because it gives you a lot of like options, because you can put him on a zone and then be all like take whatever the zone gives you, or just get a token on Windermere so that you can, on your next turn, burn the token and do the thing. Bizarre, eccentric people of history from the 20th, from Kentucky, Appalachia area. There are. I'm probably related to most of them, Grognard. And I'm not even joking. I mean, what are we going to talk about? You want to talk about the Kentucky Goblins, Dogmen, the Hairy Men,
The blue man,
people who live in the mountains?
blue man of Kentucky, keep on been breeding.
The blue people? What else was it? The Nanahay. I mean, yeah, I could go on and on too because it's like just the way it is, you know. Kentucky is a weird state, which is why Bloat Games, when they made their horror game, it was called Bloody Appalachia. And it takes place in eastern Kentucky, or if you really want to step outside, Western Virginia. But definitely that area, you know, eastern Kentucky or Western Virginia. Sybil was a god that was apparently, the worship of Sybil was outlawed by the Roman Empire. So I'm not 100% sure what Sybil does.
But if it's bad enough for the Romans to outlaw it,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it's so bad that the Romans are like, nah, it's got to be pretty bad, you know.
you can have your gods, all but this guy.
Girl, I think.
Just as bad, if
I
not
think
worse.
Sybil might have been the Latinized version of Lilith. Like, you know what I mean? An evil goddess that people worshipped in underground places and, you know, sacrificed humans to. And one thing you can say about the Romans, if you don't count the gladiatorial games, and to be honest, most of the time no one died in a gladiator fight.
Yeah.
They were not really super down with the idea of sacrificing people. That just wasn't something they were typically down with, you know?
Oh, you weren't even allowed to treat your slaves mean in Rome.
Right. I mean, a lot of people overdo it because I don't know why. But Sybil was pseudonym for a possessed CPTSD traumatized girl. Oh, I think they made a movie about it. I think they made a movie about that, Sybil. But Sybil is also an ancient god that the Romans outlawed, and yet the cult of Sybil lived on within the Roman Empire. And, you know, would pop up every now and then to cause issues. But yeah, because the Romans were like, nope, we don't do that. Which is why Rome, when they encountered Carthage, was like, yeah, these guys gotta go. It's like when they landed in Carthage and saw the Carthaginians chucking babies into a big idol to Moloch.
They're like, yeah, we're not down with that.
They're like, yeah, these guys gotta die. Shirley Ardell Mason, and she was an art instructor in Kentucky. Well, you know, if there's one thing Kentucky has more than its share of, it's crazy people. That I will admit to. There are a lot of crazy people in Kentucky.
Mom told me, she's like, you're not a Floridian, Hungar. You're just a transplant Kentuckian.
Yeah, did she?
Okay.
Because I hate to correct her, but yeah, you're Floridian.
Spent just as much time in Kentucky.
Yep, but you were born in Florida.
Graduated in Kentucky.
Born in Florida. And that's all there is to it.
You spent more time in Florida than I have.
Yep, but I was born in Kentucky.
You know what, brother? I love you, and sometimes you're an asshole.
Well, yeah.
But you're still born in Kentucky, right?
Yep. That doesn't change the fact that I was born in Kentucky, though. And you, sir, were not. You, sir, are what is known as a. No, can't even call you a halfback.
Cracker?
Yeah, you're just a Florida cracker, man.
I'm a salty cracker.
Yeah. And I've talked about this before. The Cherokee talk about when they moved into the area in eastern Kentucky near where it borders with Tennessee and North Carolina and all that. There were already people there. And these people were kind of skinny and not very physically imposing, but they had incredibly pale skin, almost translucent, very large eyes. They had hair that was white like snow. Their eyes were blue, and they tended to hide out in their castles and whatevers during the day and only come out to hunt at night.
The moon people.
The moon people. And when the Cherokee tried to communicate with them, the moon people were never hostile, but they refused to interact with the Cherokee. And eventually that led the Cherokee to being like, F it, let's just wipe them out. Which is what they did. They eventually were like, F it, we're just going to wipe these assholes out. And then they tore down a lot of their forts and whatever. And the moon people that weren't captured or killed supposedly fled underground. Now, we do know that in North Georgia and parts of that Appalachia, you can find stone structures that were built that look an awful lot like forts. And they also built their houses out of stone, but they built them conical with very small doors because they didn't want to let any light in. So, yeah. So the Cherokee say that they were there for thousands of years before the first red man had stepped foot on the continent. And I don't know. Part of me likes to think maybe they're still there. I do have an abandoned coal mine on my property. Who knows how deep it goes? That would be a hell of an adventure, wouldn't it?
Yeah, let's do it.
To journey down into this abandoned coal mine and see if we could find any moon-eyed people. Then again, we could also find dogmen or hairy men sleeping in there, and that wouldn't be good. As a matter of fact, that'd be the opposite of good. That would be really, really bad.
We just make sure to bring earplugs.
Earplugs?
Yeah, so when we shoot those bastards, we don't get tinnitus.
Right. I personally think that the Kentucky goblins that are mentioned in that legend from the 40s were probably moon-eyed people. And they were coming out at night. It was probably not UFOs because I don't believe in UFOs, but it was probably the moon-eyed people coming out of the caves at night and trying to interact with this family. That's what I personally believe. Now, in the kind of documentary, whatever it is about Hellier County, they talk about, secret operations where they were sending special forces guys who had come back from Vietnam down into the caves. And these guys were getting into firefights with like cave dwelling humanoids,
Chuds.
And they were like, well, according to the documents that they supposedly have, which who knows, these things were aliens that had set up bases on Earth underground. But again, as soon as you say alien from another planet, my brain immediately says bullshit.
Blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining.
Yeah, I heard that the Sybil lady was faking, but hey, whatever. And yes, Kentucky is probably the second weirdest state in the Union.
Commonwealth.
Yeah, it's a Commonwealth. You're right. Now, the weirdest state in the Union is Florida.
Yeah.
Florida
Florida's the land of hold my beer.
Yeah, Florida is just weird. There's just weird shit here that makes no sense. No one knows why it's here. It's just here. And also, as Hungar said, it is the land of hold my beer. Like, if somebody's going to try to legally marry a carnival ride, it will happen in Florida.
Florida is the Australia of America.
Right. If somebody's going to F around and find out with the reticulated python in the Amazon, or in not the Amazon, Okeechobee. Yeah, that's going to be down here.
If somebody's going to get attacked by a herpes monkey.
Yeah, if you're ever worried about being attacked by herpes monkeys, that's Florida. We got all the herpes monkeys down here. And if they bite you, you will die.
You know what? I'm okay with that.
Right.
If I got attacked by a monkey with herpes and it killed me, you know what? Okay, I deserve it.
It's yeah, I mean, we have 3 kinds of giant lizard down here, every one of which wants you dead. We've got alligators who, once they hit about 10 feet long, want you dead. We've got the Florida crocodile, which wants you dead. And just to make things extra spicy, we've got the African Nile crocodile down here now, and it definitely wants you dead. And I said lizard, not reptile, because that's before you even start talking about all the snakes. Every single one of which wants you dead. Like boa constrictors, reticulated pythons. Yeah, they all want you dead. Every one of them.
And then you got the people, and they want you dead.
Then you have some people, and they want you dead. The freaking meth heads and whatever. I mean, this is a state where people will pull up to a Wendy's late at night and chuck an alligator through the drive-through window.
This is the state where a naked person ate some dude's face under an underpass.
That did happen in Miami.
I know.
Yeah, the zombie attack. Some dude running around buck naked attacked some other dude and ate his face off.
This dude in Florida hung over on one of those poles that cut over the street with the traffic lights, naked, pooping on cars.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I remember when the bath salts was a thing, because we got a few calls on that. And those guys were freaking tweaking out. Like, like you put them on the stretcher and you strap their asses down kind of thing.
Did you ever get somebody to get mad at you for giving them Narcan?
Yes, all the time. The thing with Narcan is, if you give Narcan to a guy who's ODing, he is going to hate your guts and try and punch you in the head because you just effed up his high. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the secret is to give him just enough, as they call it, titrate, give him just enough Narcan to stabilize his respiratory rate so he don't die. And then when you walk in the ER doors, pump the rest of the Narcan into him. That way, when he jumps off the stretcher and starts pooping and throwing up all over the place, it ain't your problem.
You're such a dick. I love you, dude.
Oh, I mean, it was just, because otherwise you show up if the patient's behaving. A lot of times the ER nurse will be like, well, go hold the wall, right? And then you're going to be standing there while they try to figure out what in the hell they're going to do with their lives. Or which firefighter they're thinking they can trick into marrying them. And yeah, nobody's got time for that. You got other shit you need to be doing. So, yeah, pop the Narcan on them. As soon as that patient jumps up and starts pooping all over the place, all of a sudden the hospital's interested in treatment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, guys, that is just the way it is. So Daniel Boone moved to Oregon, huh? I didn't know that. It's weird because where I have my property is like smack dab in the middle of the Daniel Boone National Forest. Well, actually, it's a little bit easterly of it, but it's in it. You know what I mean? Like if I drive 2 miles from where my mom lives, it's the Daniel Boone. There's a little pull off with picnic tables and shit where you can go into there, and it's like, welcome to the Daniel Boone National Forest. Watch out for meth heads.
And bears.
And bears. Yes. Honestly, I'd rather deal with the bears.
Yeah.
I mean, because I always pack heat when I'm up there anyway. So it's like a bear is not really a threat to me. If that bear comes rolling at me and I pop 15 9mm rounds into his little black ass, that'll be the end of that. You know what I'm saying?
With the meth heads.
Meth heads, on the other hand, they might be armed too. Right?
I'm always packing heat, so if a meth head runs up on me, I put 15 rounds of 9mm hollow point in him. Make him think about life.
And then he runs up and punches you in the damn head.
Yeah, you get that meth strength.
Yeah, they get that meth strength, man. They do crazy shit like punch holes through car windshields and shit. Oh, Daniel Boone's son moved to Oregon. Well, I'll tell you what, Prime. I've never been to Oregon, but I have been the squire of a knight who dated a girl from Oregon. And all of the pictures she used to show of Oregon were absolutely beautiful, which is one of the reasons I feel so bad about the people who live in Oregon, because your state comes off like it's an absolute paradise.
Oh, Oregon's gorgeous.
But the people seem to be just mentally retarded.
Yeah, Oregon's great. The people suck.
And that's too bad because, like I said, Oregon seems really cool. I mean, I love the fact that it's basically a rainforest and there's like waterfalls everywhere. And I mean, it just seems like it'd be a great state if you're an outdoorsman and you just really like to wander around in the woods and shit like that. So his grandson moved to Oregon. Good for him. I wonder if he took the Oregon Trail. If he did, he dodged Terry, which is good.
If he did, I mean, he did have typhoid?
No, he dodged dissing Terry. Because if you're ever on your way to Oregon, whatever you do, you never diss Terry. Because Terry will kill you. Also, giant vultures apparently will pick up your children and drag them off. And enemy native tribes are not above doing a little murdering here and there. And
And
also,
dysentery.
if you're going through Utah, you gotta watch out for the Mormons because they'll kill you.
Dysentery.
I told you, don't diss Terry.
Yeah.
If you diss Terry, Terry disses back.
You drowned in the damn river.
Yeah, you try to cross over a river, minding your own business. Next thing you know, the wagon flips over and everybody's dead, which sucks. See, if I was Alphonse, I think I'd have stayed my ass in Kentucky, but I'm sure he had his
Grandson.
reasons.
His grandson, not his son. Grandson.
Yeah, Alphonse. Alfonso. That's his grandson. And for some reason, Alfonso decided he needed to move to Oregon.
He's like, screw you guys, I'm going to Oregon.
Yeah, he's like, screw this. I'm going to Oregon. I've had enough of your bullshit. It's like, what bullshit have you actually had enough of, though? You know, it's like, what are we talking about here?
Poor dirty goblin. He Googled his birthday in Florida man and found noisy sex triggers brawl between Florida brothers who still live with their mother.
Well, I hope none of the sex involved the mother. Because I don't want to know anything about it.
Yeah, me neither. Too much like the Lannister love story.
Right. You know who was the fault for that, right?
The sister.
Cersei. Because Jamie was a freaking idiot.
All bad things that happened in Game of Thrones was because of Cersei.
You know, you're pretty much right. It's pretty much every bad thing that happened was her fault.
I know.
But, I mean, I doubt we'll ever see the end of it because he killed Eddard Stark. And Eddard Stark was the linchpin of the whole story. By killing Eddard Stark, he removed the only person who knew the birthright of Jon Snow. So, where do you go from there? You know what I mean?
Well, if you're asking me where Martin's going after that, he's probably going to a buffet.
Well, yeah, but you get what I'm saying about buffet, right? But you get what I'm saying, though, right? It's like Eddard knew Jon Snow was the heir of Aegon Targaryen, I think, right? Or Rhaegon. So by killing him, you basically took that whole part of the story out of play because, you know, no one else knew. So it was just a really bad move. What he should have done is he should have had Eddard, when he realized what was going on, he should have had Eddard flee back up to Winterfell and be all like, nah, I'm done.
You're welcome.
And then that way, at some point in a future book, Eddard could have dropped the bomb that Jon Snow is actually the child of his sister and the Targaryen, right? And that then he could have wrapped it up extra neat by, you know, I don't know, maybe having him married off to Daenerys, who would have been like his first or second cousin. But she's got a butt chin. I'll tell you what, she was amazing in Dread.
And 300.
Yeah, 300, who cares? But Dread, she actually made you hate her in Dread.
Yeah.
She was just so bad. You know, it was like, oh my God, that woman is just the worst, the worst ever. You know, it's like, I want only bad things for her and only for her.
Whatever you go through, you want it to suck.
Yeah. Some pimp cut her, so she emasculated him with her own teeth. It's like, God damn. Calm down, girl. And her gang's call sign is just violence. That's their calling card, just violence.
That Air Force for violence.
Right? But so yeah, if I were going to try to get the monster into this game, it would definitely be Baratheon. Then again, I could probably get the monster into the game by because one of the commanders you can choose if you play House Stark is you can choose Lady Mormont,
Nice.
the young bear, they call her. I don't know if you remember that late on in the show where they were all having their conversation and there was like that 12-year-old girl.
Yeah.
That was basically like, listen up, bitches. Well, yeah, she is available as a non-combat leader or as an actual combat leader.
Yeah, because that girl was a little freak.
Well, apparently the land of the Mormonts, they have a special unit called the Bear Ladies. And it's an all-female unit of just big girls that, you know, run around and smack people in the head with hammers and shit.
I would be their cat follower.
So, yeah. Anyway, Hungar, you're cooking. It's been about 2 hours. You've been a relatively good boy.
Yep, my food's almost done. I'm just finishing the udon.
So you have fun with your udon and your Japanese soup. And I'm going to go in here and talk to my wife and see what's going on. But thank you for joining. Peace out.
Love you, my brother.
Love you too, my brother. And I'll talk to you next time.